balanceofnature.com and use discount code Chicago.
Get the best sleep of your life. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off during their holiday sale.
It is 8:36, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, and Jim Telemonte.
Inbound Eisenhower, scattered delays begin around North Avenue. It's a 51-minute trip from 390 to downtown, 37 from Wolf Road, outbound 50 minutes to 390. Edens is fine inbound, and outbound just a couple of routine slowdowns between Toohey and Gulf Road. Kennedy, 40 minutes O'Hare to downtown, 30 from Montrose, a little heavier in the express, and outbound it's 30 minutes to the airport. Inbound Stevenson, looking at 50 minutes, 355 for Lakeshore Drive, crash at Pulaski. Outbound 37 minutes. Ryan, 39 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 16 minutes, I-80 to the Murray, Commission 423. Northbound Tri-State, we're seeing mild delays starting around the Stevenson. Northbound Veterans Memorial, 75th to Ogden. The other tollways are good. I'm Jim Telemonte. On AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next in our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Periods of rain and fog this morning, high 37. Rain changes to snow overnight. In spots, 2 to 4 inches might fall in a low of 33. Currently 35 at O'Hare, 34 Lakefront. Your next news update is at 9. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com.
With Uncle Dan and Little
International and the Conservation of Bats, IncredibleBats.com, with John Basil from Big Run Wolf Ranch and his Canadian Lynx, as well as Kim White with her Flemish Giant Rabbit, which I want one, and a Patagonian Cavy. Sharon will be bringing, Sharon has also brought, also brought 2 skunks and sugar gliders. And this is all in advance, a little preview for you. Wildfest, Sunday, January 26th, sponsored by the Valley View Educational Foundation that serves students in Bolingbrook and Romeoville, and also will support their animal education programs as well as the rescue and rehabilitation of animals. Wildfest, Sunday, January 26th, this Sunday, sponsored by Valley View Educational Foundation for students in Bolingbrook and Romeoville. And where is that taking place?
So it's at Bolingbrook High School,
okay,
which is Schmidt Road and Lily Cash
in
Bolingbrook, and it's from 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock.
10 to 4 this coming Sunday.
Yeah, it's $8 for adults and $5 for students, and 3 and under are free.
That's great. All right, so where do we begin? I guess we begin with Amy's new pet, this Lynx.
Can you turn on my microphone for me? Yeah, this is a...
She's getting mauled.
No, she's taking over. You have a new co-host. She was just licking the microphone. So, John, tell us about this.
This is Yoki. She is Canada Lynx, and she's 8 months old. And we got her out of another facility out of Montana in Kalispell, Triple D Game Ranch. And we came back with a coyote. I have 3 coyotes. I have a tiger.
Coyote's been much in the news.
Yeah, and I have a coyote we can... if any of the television shows wanted the controversy that surrounds coyotes, if you get to the truth.
She's biting me.
No, you're biting her.
Put her down.
Can I put her down?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, she's so cute.
We got
yes, and
so let's start with the Lynx and go to the coyotes. So that thing goes like 60 miles an hour, right? I mean that's
30 if they in a small burst, to overtake prey.
Okay.
And then they got that little bobtail in the back with the black tip. Well, what they'll do is they'll hide and they'll wiggle it, and they'll get an animal's attention to come and see it, and then that's when they spring on them.
But they could Lynx could tear Amy limb from limb.
She's a stick of dynamite if she wants to be. But she's very, very gentle.
So how do you train for like the purposes of domestication?
Just as Sharon and Kim know, just from little babies, you just handle them, and they just get acclimated to people, and we're not going to harm them. And they become very tame.
I think John Cass would love this cat.
Sure, exactly.
Some people will say, how long did it take you to domesticate? You got to remember one thing, domestication and tame are 2 entirely different things.
Okay.
This is a wild animal with wild instincts. She's just tame.
Okay. So now, since you're also the coyote whisperer, and there's been these controversies in the news and people talking about, taking to the streets and putting down coyotes, What do you say?
According to the research that I've done, somebody a few years ago said that the city of Chicago purposely released 60 coyotes into the big parks. They hide during the day, and then they collared some of them to see what their movements are, and they are just a tremendous help with the rodent problem. So after dark, they come in, they know their way, and they are just doing it, and that's not using any poison baits that kids or feral cats could get into. So the coyotes are doing a tremendous job with rodent control.
So there's some of these instances. There's this guy who actually strangled a coyote to death to protect his son who was being attacked, or the situation in Chicago. These are one-off events as far as
actually, we have a contract with Chicago Park District. We do what's called Polar Adventure Days, and it's actually, I think it's tomorrow. And my daughter will be there with all our animals, and we'll bring a wolf with. I've got 7 wolves, and they were with Northerly Island, how they're restoring everything.
Yeah.
Well, one of the people we work with, she works for the park district. She said we're having a real problem with all the rabbits eating, all the natural restored grass, all the native plants. I said, put a couple coyotes out here. I said, you'll have them. So I saw her a couple years later when we went for Polar Days. And I said, how's your rabbit problem? She said, what rabbit problem? She says, we put the coyotes out here.
I mean, the giant Flemish rabbit is right here. He heard that.
But he's not a problem eating all the native plants. So.
Well, that's true. So tell me more about the rabbits, George. Tell me more about, a little Of Mice and Men reference. Never mind.
She knows the reference.
We have the rabbit out in the hallway right now. Because this time, instead of having a bunch of small animals that we can put on the table, we have all these big cages. So it's
big cages and big animals with big claws.
Yeah, big
claws. So the giant, since he's out of earshot, we can talk about it.
Yeah.
The giant Flemish rabbit. This is a thing I wanted, but that's a small one. I mean, some of them are like as big as like my torso.
Oh, mine's a baby.
Yeah.
That's a baby?
It's a baby. It's 6 months old.
We've got to bring that in.
So, it's going to more than double in size and will continue to grow until it's about 2.5, 3 years old.
And so how big do they get?
Well, the records are about 25 pounds, and when they stretch out, they can be about 4 feet.
And so here's the thing. I talked to somebody who had a giant Flemish rabbit when I was investigating this as an addition to my family.
Yeah.
And it's like very smelly, though. That's the issue.
You know what? Once you get them neutered, the smell goes away. So mine was...
Same thing happened for me.
Yeah. So mine was a little odoriferous, and it wasn't too bad, though. But as soon as we got it neutered, the smell went away.
All right.
And these skunks, tell us about these skunks
Speaking
that you're holding. They're different colors, and why aren't they spraying you?
There.
So we brought Maxie and Loki, their brother and sister, into the studio. And, of course, now it's not on TV, so you guys can't see this, but you can go visit me on Incredible Skunks on Facebook, and you can see the difference. Maxie is a black and white, traditional black and white striped skunk. And Loki is supposed to be lavender, but I call him champagne color, beige and white. And this is just a recessive gene. So it's just, it can happen. They can come in all different kinds of colors. They've been breeding skunks in captivity for over 60 years. And some states allow them as pets. Unfortunately, Illinois is not one of them. I can have them because of my USDA license. I'm a licensed exhibitor, so I can have them because of that reason. But they make excellent pets.
Really?
And yeah, they do. And if you see a skunk in your neighborhood, the way to avoid the smell, is if you have a dog and you don't want to get sprayed, when you open up your door, because these guys are active at dawn and dusk. They're crepuscular animals. So what you do is you shake a can, put some coins in a can, shake it. The skunk will hear that sound, and it will go in hiding. Then you let your dog out, do their business, have them come in again. They don't get sprayed, okay? But if they do get sprayed, easy solution is, it's on the internet. You can find it. It's baking soda, it's Dawn dish liquid, and it's hydrogen peroxide. And that removes the smell completely. No tomato juice. That's
the
no tomato juice.
Actually oil-based.
It's
You need
oil-based.
the Dawn dishwashing liquid.
I thought if somebody got sprayed that you had to urinate on them. Oh no, that's jellyfish.
That's jellyfish.
Oh yeah. I just use that as like a default.
Sure.
Yeah, for anybody, any type of bite or
Yeah.
sure.
Even in Florida, they have a skunk festival every year.
Really?
Oh, and Ohio does too. Yeah, Ohio's a big one. Yeah.
And so they're good pets. Like, describe what it's like to have a skunk as a pet, because that's sort of counterintuitive.
So they do go in the litter box. You just put it in the corner, because they back up into a corner. So as long as the litter box is in the corner, they go in the corner. They have a wheel that they run on. So on my Facebook page, you can see them running on a one fast cat wheel.
Like a Peloton, or
it's called One Fast Cat makes this One Fast Cat wheel, and then all kinds of even my possum goes on the wheel too and exercises on it. So they do that. They just they're curious. They'll forage around. They play with things too.
Do you take them like for walks on a leash?
I have. It's
And
hard. A leash
What do
is
your
hard.
neighbors
How,
say?
yeah, how is that received?
They're an odd shape.
Yeah, it's hard for a
know,
leash, but
so
my
there's
neighbors
nothing
think I'm a
really
little
for them.
batty.
Well,
Yeah, there's
so
not a
sure,
whole- it's such a
incrediblebats.com,
small
yeah.
head that it's hard for a collar and harness
You have to
and
like
stuff.
have
They
to
can
custom
back
make
right
the
out.
leash.
Yeah. And then you have to just make sure they don't back up because they can back out of the leash. But otherwise, if they're going forward, it's fine. But if they back up, they can back up.
Well,
out of
can
the
you
leash.
take them out? Like, are they trainable like a dog, where you go out and play catch with them and stuff?
They don't play catch, but I
Oh.
have taken them out for walks and that too. But I just have to be careful. There's a lot of dogs in my neighborhood, so I have to be careful that the dogs don't go after them. So yeah, but
And they do like to find hiding spots.
and they do. Yes, they'll go underneath small things and they squeeze their body down underneath small things. So yeah.
All right, now I want to see the sugar gliders, because
Okay.
this is
this is-
particularly topical, because these are indigenous to Australia.
Yeah, and they're the ones that they've lost
And-
hundreds
and-
of them in
right.
the Australian
So
brush fire.
they're in the possum family. We have one marsupial in our part of North America, which is the Virginia opossum. People see those. I actually have one of those too. But I brought in my sugar gliders today,
Oh,
and not
they're
my
so cute.
yeah.
Can I hold one?
And yes, you can. And the thing about these guys is they're arboreal. They've got really big eyes because they're nocturnal. Okay, go ahead and hold. Just like this? Yep. Uh-huh. And they're actually featured in the new Dr. Dolittle movie that plays a pivotal role in that movie. So you'll see them there. But they are called sugar gliders because they love sweet things. So honey, nectar, they're pollinators. And then when they want to go from tree to tree, they can glide. They spread their arms out, and there's this fold of skin down here. Whoops. And they spread that out, and they can then leap. 150 feet is the distance
wow.
they can leap. Yeah, and they're very good at doing that. And so they're just really adorable. They're very sweet. They can be had as a pet here legally in
soft.
Illinois.
They can be a pet.
They are. Yes, this one can be a pet in
So
Illinois.
how do
definitely.
you do that? Like, what kind of habitat do you need for them at home in order for them to?
Right. So you have to have a really tall, because they're arboreal, really tall cage for them with multi-levels. They love pockets, so I make all kinds of little pouches and hang that up in there. There's other toys in there. They play with their toys, and so if you put them all in a little basket in the bottom of the cage, and then in the morning they're all over the place. They're throwing them all over the place, and they have a wheel to run on too. And then I take them out and I play with them as well. So they're very acclimated.
Could you weaponize them as like a security detail in your home, like they were sitting in the trees and they can swoop down or something like that?
They could. They
Well,
could.
how
yeah.
many of these were lost in the Australian brush fires?
Well, I don't know specific animal. Like they said, what is it? Over a billion animals have been
animals,
lost.
yeah.
And of course, the problem with that in Australia, the problem is not only the animals that have died, but now after the fires go out, where are they going to live? Their
Right, the
habitat's been
ecosystems,
destroyed.
yeah.
So we're going to have to do a lot of heroic things in captivity. And that's one of the things that when we do our program at WildFest and we do our other individual programs too, a lot of people are like, well, why are you keeping these animals behind cages? They're all freaked out about why are these animals caged? They should be in the wild free. Well, in the wild free, the problem with that is there's a lot of issues that they face then. They face being eaten by predators. They face habitat destruction. They face poaching, all these issues.
Parasites.
Yep, parasites and all that. But by having some animals in a captive situation, we can then restore. Like mine are all viable to have babies, and if they needed to have more sugar gliders, we could then help them to restore.
Well, I mean, it's like a zoo. I mean, all the people
Right.
are like it's like the PETA nonsense. Like every animal needs to be liberated, and I mean, come on, they're anti-zoo.
Oh, sorry, here
it's
we-
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh,
I got a little
duty.
something from the sugar
Duty!
glider.
I'm ready. Here you go.
Thank
but,
you.
But that's the thing. There's actually a House bill,
Gross.
HR bill, that they're proposing, about elephants and all big animals. But what they really want to do with these bills in Congress, they want to actually make it so that no one can have any pets at all. PETA's agenda is that no one owns anything. No cats, no dogs, nothing.
Well, and the other thing.
And no
Yeah, no fishing, no hunting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too is interesting. I was reading about this in the context of Australia, and an animal rights person was saying, "Don't give money to PETA." And the point that she was making is they kill most of the animals that right. So all this stuff about no kill shelters and this and that. They're they're just in this sort of radical position of they're not caring for animals.
With a House bill that is being introduced that's trying to
In Illinois or federally?
Federal, to try to eliminate being able to transport exotic animals. Now the problem is they use the term exotic, thinking that it's the lions, the tigers, the elephants, but a bearded dragon is an exotic.
Yeah, you got to define it.
Right.
And how do you create an
a
exhaustive
sugar
list?
glider
Yeah.
is an exotic animal. So if this passed, it would then become illegal for people who do animal education, nature
Like
education
us?
programs to go into schools because we would be putting them in our cars and transporting them.
Right. It would shut us down, basically.
So
Yeah.
it was well intentioned, but the way it is written is just absolutely ridiculous, and really it's unenforceable.
What's John? So tell us more about Big Run Wolf Ranch. What happens there?
We have kids come for field trips, and we do family day open house once a month. We're going to start in April. We've made our schedule, and then we have guest speakers. Sharon's there a couple of times during the year with her bats and her animals. Jim Nessie will be at Wildfest with Bubba, the 10-foot, 300-pound alligator.
Oh,
and
boy.
the kids get alligator rides. And this alligator, he could not make. Jim will tell you, I couldn't make this gator bite somebody. He's huge.
And it's
Really?
going to be
It takes
one
5
of,
guys to pick him up.
And you
Wow.
also
It's
said
going to
you
be
have
one of
bear.
the last.
I have a
times.
There he
bear.
is right there. There
He has
is.
a bear at home.
Yeah, I have
A
a
grizzly bear,
500-pound black bear.
Oh,
He
black
was
bear.
a rescue. Somebody was selling him illegally at a flea market. In
What, are you
Kankakee.
like Jeremiah Johnson? What?
I don't know. I still
bear.
have all my hands, and I've only got one. I call it my tiger tattoo, and that's this one here.
Okay.
That's right there. That's the only
Okay.
mark I've got for 34 years of doing this.
And so where is this?
I'm in Lockport, northeast corner of Lockport, Homer Township.
Does everybody
Will County.
Does everybody in Homer Township know you've got a 500-pound black bear hanging
Yes,
out?
and the tiger. If you want to Google "man brings tiger into a bar," that's me.
Oh, that's you? Aw.
He
I
was
wanted to
12
get a
weeks
drink
old,
with
for
you.
God's sakes. He was on the bottle, wasn't even on solid food, and I was in there for 15 minutes handing out flyers.
Yeah.
These are all
With
my friends where I
permission.
hang out for Bears games and stuff. And I was in there for 15 minutes handing flyers out for the upcoming Wild Fest that was going to be that following Sunday. So I was in there for 15 minutes.
And what's your background? How did you get into animal conservation and doing
Oh
this?
my God! I drove my dad nuts when I was a kid. I had everything, with all the pets he allowed me, and the ones I was hiding. He said, "I don't even want to go into my own garage. I don't know what the heck is going to jump out at me." So he kept me grounded most of the summer to keep me out of the woods. So
Well,
that's just that's
All right.
where it
A
all
cat like
started.
this,
And
so-
actually, Big Run Wolf Ranch happened all by itself. I had no plans of doing what we do. We see about 50,000 kids a year.
That's
Wow.
great.
And this,
Wow.
can I buy a Canadian Lynx?
Um,
Because she and I are
you
getting
have to
along
have-
real well.
Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
have a USDA federal license.
Oh, I know where that office is.
Yeah, right, exactly, yeah. So it'll be her emotional support animal
Yes.
on the flight
Give
to
me a kitty.
Mexico.
And we are inspected, as Sharon is too.
Oh, yeah.
We are inspected by the feds. They come unannounced. They
Right.
don't tell you when you turn around, and they're there.
And-
So
and-
everything has to be tip-top shape.
And so, I mean, I'm sure the kids are all like, gaga to play with the animals and they're fearless. But what about the parents? Like, are they jumpy about the alligator ride or the black bear or the skunks or?
No, it's funny with me. I know I had this one guy one time. We were down at Land Between the Lakes doing a show, and I had what animal was it that? Oh, tarantula, right? And this big guy looked like Hulk, right? And he had these 2 little tiny little girls, and he said, "Oh, go ahead, touch the spider, do the spider." So I put the spider in both the little girls' hands and everything. I said, "Okay, Dad, it's your turn." He goes, "I'm not touching that thing."
Oh.
So they'll like throw their kids to the wolves,
Right.
basically.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Very good. All right. Sharon Peterson, she's an elementary school teacher, librarian, trained by Bat Conservation International and the Conservation of Bats, IncredibleBats.com. John Basil, we were speaking with from Big Run Wolf Ranch out Lockport Way in Homer Township, and his Canadian Lynx. What's the lynx's name, by the way?
Yoki.
Yoki.
Yoki, that means a rain in Hopi Native American.
Oh, wow.
Yoki and I
Okay.
are BFFs.
I bet. Kim White, her a giant Flemish Rabbit, which is, what's the name?
Hi, pretty.
Poppy seed.
Poppy seed.
And she's the naturalist. You can follow her, and then she does shows too.
Okay,
We
very
gotta get a
good.
picture of you and
Oh, I
her.
got that Patagonian cavia.
The 2 skunks, the
Oh.
skunks' names are?
Loki and Maxie.
Yoki, Loki,
Loki,
Maxie. Okay, all right, very good. And again, Wildfest is Sunday, January 26th. So this Sunday, Bolingbrook High School, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., sponsored by the Valley View Educational Foundation to serve students in Bolingbrook and Romeoville and support the animal education programs as well as the rescue and rehab of animals that we've been discussing.
Right.
And again, the ticket prices for
Yeah,
open to
it's
the public.
$8.
Ticket prices.
Right, $8 for adults and $5 for students. If you're an older student, bring your ID. You can get them for $5 then, and then kids 3 and under are free. And we're going to have not just us, but we're going to have like 14 different animal exhibitors are going to be there. So it's going to be quite the event. We'll have face painting. We're going to have concessions. There'll be vendors there as well too. So it's going to be quite the event. And what else is there to do on a Sunday? You can come get wild with
I know.
us. is what
This
I'm
is
saying.
Absolutely.
great. Best day at work ever.
Yeah.
By far.
Thank you all for bringing your friends in.
appreciate
We
you having
appreciate
us.
it. Good luck on Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's It's what Chicago is talking about. It's Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560. The Answer.
Fred Astaire. Dance, dance, dance.
You know, social interaction is really important. Wouldn't it be great for all of us to do more of it? We're all into our social media, and I get that. But I'm talking about real interaction. Face-to-face, making people smile, and enjoying each other's company. At the end of the day, that's the good stuff in life. Studies have shown that when you leave your isolation unchecked, that it is not good for your well-being. So if you're feeling that way, let's change that by getting involved. The environment you'll find at Fred Astaire Dance Studios is so inclusive and welcoming that our clients really look forward to being here. And I've seen it time and again, where relationships made inside the studio strengthen outside the studio. This is Tony Dovolani with Fred Astaire Dance Studios. We want you to live your life to the fullest, and we're all waiting for you to get in here so we can get out there and dance.
Fred Astaire. Dance, dance.
Visit FredAstaire.com to learn more.
Elevators and escalators are used thousands of times a day in millions of buildings around the world, and we rarely think about them. That is, until something goes wrong.